Yes. Real quick, while Dylan's figuring out, from this point forward, this is a huge, major spoiler alert sound effect, uh, for episode 4 of Marvel. What if? What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? I'm playing with my hands because I don't really know what to do with them right now. I need a stress ball. But while Dylan's figuring this out, my rating of the show is gonna be a 9 mutant Doctor Strange. It's not mutant. 9 9 strange monsters. Yes, 9 strange monsters out of 10. Only reason it's a 9 is because it wasn't longer. If it was just a hair longer, or they give me a little more closure right away, because I enjoy closure, it would have been 10 out of 10. But they left him there in the middle of. Is Dylan's talking, but I can't. I see. Well, okay, this feed may be a few minutes slow. Yeah, only reason I couldn't give it a 10 because I needed. I hear you over there. This is what happened. Okay. Technical difficulties when you go live. But the episode itself had a lot of good qualities. For this is probably the first episode where they got everybody to come back, and not no stand-ins that sound eerily like somebody. Like they got every single person to come back. They got the actor who played Wong.
We got
Cumberbatch. We got sound. Tilda Swinton came back.
Everyone
came back. Everybody came back, and this was once again like I was just watching a mini movie, and it even had a better pace than the original Doctor Strange movie. Even though if you had never seen this Doctor Strange movie, they summed it up in just about the same amount of time the movie felt like it was.
Yeah. All right, Quinn, I'm going to jump in right here. Just to kind of recap, we had some sound issues. Thank you, Paul, on Facebook for letting us know about that. If you've been watching the show, you can tell that I changed headphones and that messed up the whole sound thing. And if you've ever worked with sound and computers, then you know how that works. So just to recap, thank you for joining the FOMO show, MCU edition. I am Dylan. He is Quinn. And we were talking about what if episode 4, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? And you probably gathered that from the thumbnail if you were watching. But just to recap, thank you for joining us today, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. And Quinn, you said your rating for this episode was a 9, right?
9 strange monsters out of 10.
Strange monsters out of 10. I get that. I'll say I'll say 8.5 evil twins.
8.5 evil twins.
Yeah, simply because I mean, like when I first watched it, I was like, man, this is really dark and awesome, and man, I should just bump it up to 9. But the past few weeks, I've just been saying them, not purposely, but we've both been given the same rating, so I was trying to do a little different. But excellent. The more I look into this episode and the more I watch this episode, the better it gets. And the more I think about the implications of this episode, the better it gets. Because this is canon. This isn't just a one-off. This is yeah.
Also, so if you're on the internet, which everyone is, the only other thing that I've seen come from after this episode aired was like the little thing in the Far From Home trailer, we see Doctor Strange winking, and then just a picture of Dark Doctor Strange. The Doctor Strange? Yes, the
Doctor
Doctor
Strange. Yeah.
right there winking, and it's like, oh, it was him all along. And yeah,
I
which would be
definitely,
very
I definitely
interesting.
want to talk about that possibility a little bit later
Mhm.
after we kind of cover all this.
Yeah.
Because man, okay, we skipped the MCU news section. So the only MCU news that I can think of right now is that Shang-Chi is premiering tonight. That you can go watch it tonight and all weekend, and it is projected to make Labor Day history. Another all Asian cast, just like Crazy Rich Asians, that just blew it out the box, and really excited to see this movie. Hopefully, I haven't asked Quinn yet, but hopefully, maybe we can go see it this weekend or something. Because I have not missed a single MCU movie in the theater, and I don't intend to start now. I don't care if I have to pull some change together, scrape some change together to make it happen, or scour the internet for coupons. I will make it happen. And yeah. So, really, just to touch on that Doctor Strange thing, we talked about last week before we aired, like a day or two before the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer dropped, and man, there were so many things that I saw in that trailer that I wanted to talk about, but as time went on, everybody and their mama put out a video breaking down that trailer, and eventually talked about everything that I thought that only I saw. So yeah, I didn't get ahead of the curve enough, and if I put one out now, it'll just be out there, even though it'll be fun to do. But having come off of COVID and everything, I'm still kind of dealing with, as you can tell, in my throat a little bit of cough and just exhaustion, stuff like that. But outside of that, still, really interested. But we can kind of tie it in, especially with this episode. It just works. So we can kind of talk about some stuff in this episode. So, what we got? I'm looking at my notes. We did not give our spoiler alert. So, Quinn, if you would be so kind.
I did, but there was no sound effects or anything.
Oh,
so
well,
I can do it again.
We got to do it again then.
Okay. I'll do it again. All right.
There's no sound effects. It's not real.
There's no sound effects. It's not real.
I missed it. So.
Okay. For Dylan. For Dylan.
And I might have to recut the thing to start later, so it might, depending on, because I missed a lot of that. So. Just for jumping in sake.
Okay. This is it. Your spoiler alert. If you're still here now, just be aware we're about to talk about What If, Episode 4. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? Paul, if you haven't watched, gosh darn it, I do this so many times. If you haven't watched this, you haven't watched that, pause this, go watch that, and then come back. You have been warned.
Yes. Sorry, it's not an episode unless I hear that. So just for my sake, thank you. All right. So we already rated the episode. We did our thing. So boom. Now we can start talking about this episode. Because as you said, man, this was a big one.
It was. It opened up. So the show opens up giving you a straight up recap to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Said, yep, here.
Yeah. Just like in Captain Carter, there were a lot of scenes that were exactly the same, just a little tweak.
Just a little tweak. Actually, start off with him driving up, picking up Christine. Yeah, Christine.
Christine.
And
Dr. Christine Palmer.
And then them going out. this was another universe. Her last name would give
Yeah.
me worry.
Yeah. So
But
just as you said that, there's a couple different things about this universe right off, and that is one of the big ones, is that her and Doctor Strange are still dating, and they were
yeah,
not in the movie.
they're not in this movie, and
Yeah.
that's where it kicker. Um, and because of this and the events this is the catalyst for the events of him becoming Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme, which makes this moment an absolute moment in time, which we'll get to later of what that means.
Right.
Because this, yeah. So, but from there, they go out. He's driving on a cliffside. He's driving a fast car. So as you do with fast cars, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something real fast. I'm gonna just hit 80 past this thing. Oh, there's another car. Oh, geez, let me get back over real fast. Saved. Okay, we're safe. Don't worry. And then from behind them, I guess there's another high-speed chase, and some Hydra agent is being chased by Black Widow, slams into the back of Doctor Strange's car. They flip, roll over, and land in a reservoir, maybe? Or lake? River? Water.
Yeah, something like that. So in the movie, the situation was him texting and driving, but it was not a semi. It was a pickup truck that he was going around, and there was a car. But of course, in this one, he dodges the car, and somebody, I guess the person behind them was texting and driving, and rear-ended them. Did not.
They were
slow up
driving
at all.
too sporadically.
Yeah.
Like, they were driving crazy.
Yeah, but aside from that, like the actual crash, them flipping off and flipping off, them bouncing off of the rocks and landing in the little reservoir with the fence and everything was basically shot for shot from the movie.
Yeah. And once they landed, he looks up. He's fine. Shot of hands be okay. He looks over at Christine, and she's just kind of slumped over. And I'm just guessing, neck be broke, because that will be the only other thing. Because they didn't show, because it's, I guess, still a PG show, but they couldn't show how she died. So I'm just assuming neck broke, and him being a doctor, neck broke, and yeah.
How many times can you say neck broke?
Neck broke a lot, because we're gonna hit that point.
She was wasted.
Yes. And then start the montage.
Or you might say that looked over and you died. I'm sorry, I'm playing. Go ahead.
Okay. And then from there starts the montage of him going to find Tilda Swinton. Well, I call her that, but that's not who she is. She is the Ancient One. Mm-hmm. And the Ancient One, who is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Mm-hmm. So there's a huge implication here, a huge difference right here, because the obvious difference is that his motivation for pursuing the mystic arts is completely different. However, his growth and his progression in the mystic arts is also drastically different, because before he struggled with it because of his hands, whereas in this, he progressed a whole lot faster, where in this one, they actually named him Sorcerer Supreme. And then in the MCU, as far as I know, he has not officially been named Sorcerer Supreme. He's kind of de facto, because Ancient One has passed, but they haven't officially called him that in the MCU yet, as far as I'm aware.
No. He took up the mantle. In Endgame she kind of did, or she alluded to it by calling him the one, the greatest of us all.
Yeah,
so,
and actually Agatha, I think, actually called him the Sorcerer Supreme too, in WandaVision, when she name dropped him.
Yeah.
In the last episode, I think it was.
Yeah.
So yeah,
yeah,
I guess so.
he's
I mean,
a
taking on
Sorcerer Supreme.
Dormammu kind of moves you up in the ranks a bit, I guess.
You make them. You fight Dormammu to a draw, where he's like, "Cool, I'll just sit out, dog," and then it takes you up in ranks.
Yeah.
You control the time stuff, fun things.
Yeah.
But yeah, his progression was crazy. The Ancient One still dies. We're just
Yeah.
since like the
Yeah.
montage
I
was
mean,
like
yeah.
everything was
We
pretty much
assume
the
it was the
same. She
same.
probably
Yeah.
died the same way.
And there was another big difference there too. When he started playing with the Eye of Agamotto and looking at the Book of Cagliostro, playing with the apple thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, it was Mordo that confronted him and came down hard on him. But in this one, it was Wong and the Ancient One, and then it just kind of gave him like a warning.
Yeah.
So that also might have had adverse effects.
In the movie, didn't he turn it? It might have been the same thing, but I thought there was the shot in the movie was him turning a eaten apple into whole again, and this one it was him turning a whole apple into eaten.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I think it might have went back and forth in the movie, but
It might have went back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like you said it is, that's a nice little imagery right there for, him
And
where
his
he ended up. Yeah.
twin. Yeah. So he ends up, we after the events with Dormammu, he's there in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and these funny sounding names always crack me up. Uh, but he's there. He has the Eye of Agamotto with him. Wong comes up in there and he's like, "Hey, Strange, how you doing?" Strange is like, "I'm doing fine, fam. What would it be?" And then Wong's like, "I'm about to make some tea. I think you should come with me because you look like you want to do something stupid." And
That's a good friend right there.
that's a good friend. And then he was like, "Sure, I guess I will." And he opened the Eye of Agamotto. And
So I'm
then,
sorry, I have to jump in one more time because there is another huge, huge implication that I completely missed that we just kind of glossed over, and the show kind of glossed over, and that is Stephen Strange does not know what the Price is Right is. Like that.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy. Like who does not know what that show is? Like what rock has this man been living under?
One where he gets to perform a very rare surgery on a child's brain.
Yeah. Speaking of actual implications, not a joke, but not implications, but imagery. The procedure that he performed that he was going to get some accolades for.
Successfully.
That he performed successfully is an actual procedure, and it is extremely difficult to do. I forgot what they called it or what it's called, but what it is severing the two hemispheres of the brain.
Hemispheric something with a D.
Disjointification. Yeah. I don't know. But separating two hemispheres of the brain in seizure patients to kind of prevent seizures, right? Obviously to prevent seizures, but it is extremely difficult to do with because it can change your personality, it can do a whole lot of damage, but some pretty great little hidden imagery there for what would happen to him later in the episode.
Yes. So now we're at the part of the episode where I get to say Nick broke a lot.
Again.
So he goes back to the night that Christine died. He tries to change time, but because it is an absolute point in time, it does not work. And he tries in several different ways. First time he tries, he still ends up getting hit from behind, and they fall into the Yeah, fall, water, neck broke. And another time he tries, he's like, well, let's just not even go there. Let's go do this. And neck broke. Another time they try, they just go and get pizza. And the same guy who just killed Ben Parker came in for some reason and shot. One time they're going down the street,
Wow.
hit by a semi, neck broke.
Might have been about the same
And
time in the timeline, to be honest.
might have been about the same time. So possibility. And then he one time he just gave up and didn't pick her up, and then she goes back in and her building catches on fire and she dies.
Yeah, and so he's watching the news because he was just like, I'm just going to avoid it altogether, take myself out of the equation. And it is announced by another Christine who happens to know Tony Stark very well, the reporter from Iron Man. Yeah.
Who also came back. Like literally they got everybody this time.
Yeah. This actress has come back several times, even for like little internet blurbs and stuff like that. And just for this little moment.
A little itty bitty role. Who knows? Maybe she'll get a whole thing, get her character killed off and memorial made of. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yes. And then so after the final time, we'll just say the 100th time, he has seen her die, and I show up and say neck broke.
Yeah, and it's this is very reminiscent of Groundhog Day as well. Like especially where Bill Murray's character is trying to save the homeless man, and he just can't do it. Like it's just a fixed point. It's just meant to happen.
Absolute point in time. Yeah. And so he gets out of the car. He looks defeated. He's about to try it again, but then the Ancient One shows up in her ancient wisdom of ways.
I thought for sure it was going to be Mephisto show up at this point because it was getting dark quick.
It was getting dark quick. It's like, let's just keep making it darker. Just keep turning it up. But it did later. But yes, so Ancient One shows up. She's like, I need you to stop. Look, I know what you're about to do, fam. Paraphrasing real hard here. I know what you're about to do. So I need you to quit because you can't bring her back. It's an absolute moment in time, which means if this doesn't happen, you will create a time paradox. And he's like, how am I going to create a time paradox? Because if she doesn't die, you don't become this. And if you don't become this, then you can't come back to save her. So paradox.
Yep.
And then he was like, you told me anything was possible. And then she was like, no.
Not in this universe. We're in the bad place. You don't get your hands crushed and get to do it yourself this time.
No. So and he, excuse me. But he ends up not listening to her and tries to go back. I was assuming he was trying to go back in time again and something went wrong.
Yeah, he apparently, I think he knew where he wanted to go because that book, the Book of Cagliostro, that he was looking at when she warned him, when she and Wong warned him not to mess with timelines and stuff like that. And also, so there's a difference between another little, I guess, implication, I like to throw that word around, is that so when you use the time stone, it does not create a branch reality. It stays within the same timeline, and you just kind of ride it back and forth.
Yes.
Whereas with Loki and all these other ones,
and then traveling through time using the
it actually changes dimensions. Like, yeah,
you create a branch timeline from that, which falls in suit with everything that they've shown us so far. Because in Loki, any of the Infinity Stones don't work outside of a timeline, or at that time it was a sacred timeline.
Exactly. So those are actually a lot more limited than they seemed. Like within the timeline, they're extremely powerful, but if you take them out of that,
death.
Yep. But outside of the timeline, they're a paperweight.
Paperweight. Which, if you need to hide Infinity Stones for from your reality because you have a mad purple guy running around, to hide him in somebody else's reality.
Yeah.
It won't work.
That right there is also very interesting because, like, we know because we saw in, I forget the guy's drawer, that there are multiple time stones that are, multiple Infinity Stones, that they exist in almost every timeline. However, we also know from Guardians of the Galaxy that they were created at the creation of time. So, was, you know what I mean? Is it the creation of each timeline? Because we saw in Loki them back out of a different timeline and go back into another one, and we saw parallel times. So whenever one is birthed, is there new Infinity Stones created? And that also kind of ties in where the comics have multiple different kinds of Infinity Stones, and they have cross timelines to get different ones in different sizes and shapes and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. I wouldn't think, I don't know. I actually don't. It's hurting my brain. I'm thinking about it. I don't think it would be at the start of a new timeline. Like if you have on a grid 0.0, that's the start of everything. And then from there it just starts to go out.
And that's what I was wondering about. Is there a single point for the beginning of everything, or is it just multiple timelines at different points of beginning for that specific timeline?
Yeah. I think everything stems from one thing, and then the moment where somebody makes a significant enough choice, it branches off into another timeline, because that's what it seems like it is. Well, significant.
Yeah. Well,
that's
I mean,
it seems
so
like
yeah,
it is.
so yeah. Come to think of it, just from the end of this episode, where he literally destroyed his universe, we know that if a single universe can end and not destroy all the other universes, then surely another universe can begin on its own, independently of other universes.
Yeah. So I guess each time one is made, that's not a, I guess, branch. But then that would mean there would be multiple 0.0s.
Yeah. Which is, and so, I mean, as far as we know with Loki, like branching, and from what the Ancient One said, that is where it gets dangerous for the timeline that it has branched off of. And we see the result of this in this episode, because I'm pretty sure Marvel is using this to explain to their audience how their timelines work, how this multiverse works. And Uatu is just the guide. Because like at the start of this episode, he's okay. We've seen how this works. We've seen how that works. And he's literally just walking the audience through setting up how the multiverse works for the coming phase in the MCU.
Yes. Well, neat. Okay. Back to the show.
Well, we're still talking. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
But after that was weird. That was like so.
Watch
yeah. So the Doctor Strange, who's about to go down the wrong path, and the Ancient One have a short clash. She hits homie in the chest. He goes to...
Very smart of her in the moment. Like,
yeah.
So, So, I mean, we know from Doctor Strange that she has seen her own death. She has looked all up and down her timeline. She is very omnipresent? Omniscient. because she admitted she has looked up into her death and she can't see any further. So during this time, having gone back in time, and this is happening in real time for her, having looked up and down her timeline, she is fully aware of what is happening and comes prepared.
Yep, she does. She hits him with a spell that he doesn't know that he's hit with. We'll get to that. And he wakes up, scorch marks on his chest, and he's like, well, that didn't do anything. Neat.
Yeah,
let me go do some. Got away. He goes into this valley. He sees this. Yeah, it's the same dude. Isn't it the same guy? Yeah, it's the same guy. Meets this gentleman. He asks him, hey.
Yeah. O-Bengh.
O-Bengh. He meets a gentleman who tells him his name is O-Bengh.
Who is different than Shebang.
O-Bengh. He asks O-Bengh, hey, do you know where the library of Cagliostro is? Cagliostro. Yes. O-Bengh was
Cagliostro. I had to look up how to spell it. Cagliostro. Yeah.
Cagliostro.
Yeah, that's it. And it's also library, not library. But that's neither here nor there.
I said library. The library of Cagliostro. Yes.
Sorry.
And
word nerd.
Somebody tapped on the door, and then O-Bengh was just like, "Oh, look, over there. It could be here. It could be anywhere." And then he was up there like, "Don't tell me you're Cagliostro." And he's like, "Oh, fam, who told you?" But only
you
because
caught that, right? You caught that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I didn't catch that until I was watching the breakdowns, and I was like, "That son of a bitch." Like, because he was like, he could be here, he could be there, he could be anywhere. And also his eyes, different colors, were also a kind of nod to Doctor Strange being split. And potentially him being split as well, because what we were just talking about, in the comics, Cagliostro is O-Bengh. He is an alternate name for Cagliostro. However, just a little history on Cagliostro. Cagliostro was actually a real person.
Oh, you mean
Did you know this?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. He was an Italian occultist who gained power and
charlatan.
Yeah, in Europe and everything through his occult arts and psychic healing, alchemy, scrying, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so famous occultist and everything. And so Marvel just kind of adopted, as they do, they adopted him and turned him into this wizard who, obviously, there's not just a book of Cagliostro, there's a library of Cagliostro. And this guy, in the comics, lived a natural long life, which we know from the Doctor Strange movie is how the Ancient One and I forget the bad guy's name.
How Cagliostro lived an unnaturally long life?
Yeah, once you go ahead and tell him.
So this man, not only did he go throughout history just like fighting random stuff, he also lived an unnaturally long life. He also lived an unnaturally long life from vampire blood. He would use vampire blood on himself to keep his juvenation up.
Yep.
Essentially.
That's what he did in the shadows.
That's what he did in the shadows. Doo-doo.
That was so much better than the sound effect.
And yeah, but eventually he dies off and becomes kind of obscure in the comics minus Legends. But yes, that is how he lives an unnaturally long life.
So in the MCU, they use his book and they're pulling it from the dark dimension is how they do it in there.
Yeah. Which
But him having an entire library kind of alludes to the fact that he has multiple different ways that he does this.
yes, multiple different ways. So Doctor Strange then goes into the library and starts yanking books off the shelf, spinning them around. Time passes, kind of.
Yeah. Well, he literally opens up that book because he goes back in time, right? And he's already looked at that book in the Sanctum, or not the Sanctum Sanctorum, but I forget where he was in Tibet with the Ancient One and Wong and their actual library, and where he got the book off the shelf and everything. In the MCU, what's his face had torn those pages out, and that's the page that he opens up to
Calypso?
in this library.
No. Castro?
No.
What's his name? Colosseum. No.
Coliseum. That's. I mean, I think you're getting close, but I don't know.
It's there. It's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me.
Somebody knows. Somebody will tell us
Somebody.
how stupid we are.
But yeah, he does all that.
Mads Mikkelsen's character.
What was his name?
Are you looking it up right now?
I'm looking. It's bothering me. It's gonna bother me.
Yeah, so I mean, while you're doing that, that little symbol that was in the book, they had that on their forehead. That kind of showed that they were the followers of Cagliostro's magic.
Which apparently makes Cagliostro. Oh wait, Kaecilius. Calesius? Calesius.
Khaleesi?
Daenerys? Right. So
I don't know.
yes,
I don't know.
that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Guy. But yeah, what were we saying? I lost my train of thought.
All right. So yeah, when he goes into the library and he starts pulling books off the shelf, he finds that book and opens it up to those pages that had been previously torn out by that bad guy. Which, like, okay, so this Doctor Strange is infinitely more cocky because he has not lost the use of his hands, been broken down, and spent all of his money to try. I mean, yes, he was broken. His heart was broken, but it's different when it's for somebody you love versus like yourself is broken. You know what I mean? I guess this one he's because the current Doctor Strange in the MCU, his hands still twitch and he wears the gloves. Except in the Spider-Man trailer. So I did pause it, and it does so there's another video, New Rockstars just put one out, and he was saying that his hands do not have the scars in the trailer. However, on my giant 4K TV, when I paused it, I was looking for the scars, and I could have swore I saw the scars. So that was my first thought, is like, this is not that Doctor Strange. And I paused it looking for the scars on his hand because I thought it was weird that he was not wearing his gloves.
Yeah. And it being like icy in his house. Everything else is covered up.
Yeah. And that later scene when he is not wearing his cloak of levitation.
Yeah. I mean, he could lose it. He lost it later in this episode.
And the fact that he is still wearing the Eye of Agamotto that was crushed by Thanos.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good night.
And the fact that he is super hardcore gaslighting Peter. Yes, he is an arrogant SOB, but to say, oh, you want me to do something for you? Sure. Why'd you do that? It is literally the meme with Eric Andre shooting the thing. It is like, bang! Why did you do that? That is literally what happened in the trailer. He's like, Peter, the reason it's doing this is because you want to live two lives. It's like, no, it's because a teenager walked in and asked if you could do a spell, and you said, yeah, sure, let's go do it. It's like,
stop messing with the spell, Peter. Peter, stop.
It's not
Peter,
your fault for being an arrogant SOB
Peter.
that wants to show off to a high schooler. Like, come on. This is not Doctor Strange, y'all. I don't care how many different YouTube channels say it's Doctor Strange, it's not Mephisto. I don't give a rip if it's Mephisto or anybody. It could just be an alternate. It could just be an alternate timeline Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But that Doctor Strange, after having been through everything he's been through, especially dealing with time and all that thing, like Loki showed up on his planet and he was like up in arms about it, and he's just going to go after Wong super hardcore warns him. He's just going to go, sure, yeah, no problem. No, not this guy.
Yes.
No. If so,
yeah.
I'm going to be hardcore pissed at Sony for rewriting the character to fit their plot.
Ding. It wasn't Agatha.
That's my soapbox. Yeah, it's super hardcore doing some Agatha nonsense.
Yes. But we'll see what happens.
That's a soapbox.
We'll see what happens. So back to Doctor Strange in the library. Library? Whatever.
Yeah.
In that place with the books.
It was Doctor Strange in the library with the candlestick.
And the octopus tentacles. Because that's what he summoned the first time. Homie said, let's go big or go home. I need me a ancient evil. I need a great old one. So let's go ahead and summon you, tentacle monster.
Shumagorath, I choose you. And then he was like, no. Wait. Creepy gnome, I choose you.
He's like, I gotta catch them all. He's up there like, yeah, this is gonna be great. Like some level 1 D&D warlock looking like, I just want power now, please. Mm-hmm. Say, hey, look, I know you're like this ancient evil or whatever, but let me borrow some of that power. Look,
please?
I want to impress her. She already said no to me to go to prom, but I think I can turn it around. And
this is the John Hughes rewrite, by the way.
He gets a tentacle wrapped around his leg for asking, and I'm just assuming he got slammed on the ground several times until he closed the portal.
Straight up Loki'd him.
Straight up Loki'd him. And so he wakes up. O-Bengh is patching him up.
And he goes, oh, bang, you got banged around. Okay, that was bad. Sorry.
And so then he's like, well, let me go ahead and start small. And then he summons this little creepy gnome. And I'm like, aw, they're going to make tons of plushies of you. You're going to have tons of plushies in a lot of emo girls' rooms. And then he just went, aw, and ate him. And then he just started going through what I can only assume was a Marvel bestiary of dark things.
Yeah. Just the fact that he was like, wait a minute, absorb other beings? I'm cool with that. It's like, okay, man.
Summoned a 6-eyed raven, ate that.
Yeah, it literally, like, that's what happened to the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones.
They got ate by Doctor Strange. Summoned all sorts of demons and things and just kept eating them.
I mean, so close to getting Mephisto. Like, I mean, one of them, like after the dragon, he looked super Mephisto-like, but
super Mephisto-like. And he kept, like, after he absorbed them, he would turn into them for like a split second and then back to him. Mm-hmm. Yep. Until finally, he got
snakes and dogs and dragons and all kinds of stuff.
all kinds of stuff. And finally, he got back to his big old tentacle monster. He's like, time for the rematch. I done rockied this. Look, Apollo, let's go one more time. Let's see. No crowd, you and me. And summoned him forth. And instead of trying to absorb the whole thing, he's like, I just need some tentacles. And cut him off. And then, and then all you see is a silhouette of tentacles, wings, other things flying out of his back, and his
Monkeys flew out of his ass. I don't know what happened, but it was crazy.
He looks up and he's like, "Yeah, I'm evil now." And
Yeah, you could tell because he had dark circles under his eyes. Because that's obvious.
it's obvious.
And all of his green and gold magic suddenly was red. So
He found a bug who had a new cape. He didn't want to eat the bug though.
Yeah,
so
the bug, so that could have been a variant version of him.
the same one from the universe where we have Throg and Alligator Loki.
Very possibly. The insectoid version.
And Peter Porker.
Yep.
That's the universe that they're all from. I'm just calling it.
Yeah.
But yes. So.
Oh yeah. So yeah, all that red magic could. I mean, it's very well chaos magic. Very, very possibly chaos magic.
Because he's absorbing beings that shouldn't exist in this normal plane, which is why you got to open a portal to get there.
Yep.
And yeah, whole bunch of things with that. So then after he does his whole thing, O-Bengh then lets him know O-Bengh's on his deathbed. He is giving him some word.
Well, hold on. The first time he goes to try to summon the tentacle monster, Shumagorath or whoever it is, unconfirmed. It knocks him out, and O-Bengh is like kind of doctoring him and wakes him up after he's passed out, and gives him some advice. And it's like there's a fine line between devotion and delusion. Love can break your heart, it can also shatter your mind. And almost immediately, he's like, "Where'd you learn that? In a book?" He's like, "No, life taught me." And so that's another reason I thought this was a great episode, because anybody that's ever been heartbroken or lost someone or been through a depressive episode gets this. And it's a very, very human episode. But almost immediately, completely twists what O-Bengh told him. And was like, yeah, O-Bengh is right. If they're not going to give it to me, then I'll take it. Because O-Bengh was like, okay, mystic beings don't bargain. Which also could potentially have some connection to his bout with Dormammu, because eventually Dormammu bargained with him, but it could.
They didn't have any other choice.
Well, so New Rockstars kind of pitched the idea that potentially the bargain wasn't actually in his favor like he thought it was, because Dormammu was able to kind of have a bigger picture and idea of what's going on. Similar to how he was absorbing these creatures, yet it's very possible that in absorbing them, he actually kind of fulfilled their plan to destroy his universe. And they won in the long run anyways.
Yeah.
Because even at one point when he was morphing into all these monsters, there's one face that looks like he's basically Dormammu with the third eye.
Yeah. Purple guy, I remember. And while all this is going on, then you have the Watcher come in and he's like, I could stop this. I could intervene and tell him he's going down the wrong path. But he wouldn't listen anyway. Peace.
Very great. That was a great Jeffrey Wright impression, by the way.
Thank you.
So that is also seeding the possibility, or the eventuality, I should say, that Uatu will interfere, because no matter how many times the Watchers say they can't, they won't, will not interfere, we know through the comics they have interfered multiple times.
They interfered a lot.
Yeah. And so this could be working towards his interference, because also we know through some of the promotional material that some of these main characters that we've seen, Captain Carter, T'Challa Lord, like you said earlier.
T'Challa.
Yeah. And
Yes.
Doctor Strange. Some of the, and Party Thor and all these other ones, Black Panther, Killmonger, they are in a team called the Guardians of the Multiverse.
They have to have different music.
Yeah, it'll be like all minor chords of the same thing.
Oh yeah, and we still have not seen Conquering Gamora. That's what I'll call her.
Yeah, or Conquering Vision, or Ultron, which is technically, I think, the same thing, because
Grand Vision. That's his name.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call him that.
Yeah, X-ray vision, if you will.
X-ray vision.
Ultron vision,
yeah.
ultra vision.
Ultra
Anyway,
vision.
I'm done with the puns. I'm sorry. So yeah, in that one, Ultron does get Vision's body and goes after the Infinity Stones just from putting different visuals together, and the planet is overrun with Ultron bots.
Ultrabots. Yes.
And,
yeah.
So we know that these will be connected, because when the season first started, there was some question as to whether these were going to just be one-offs and just kind of play with the multiverse and stuff like that. However, the showrunners were very insistent that this would have greater implications in the MCU, and now we're starting to see how that will play out, because we haven't seen, outside of Uatu, we haven't seen any connection between any of these episodes. However, except for also the tentacle monster now, because we saw that in episode 1, and there is an image where Captain Carter is speaking to this dark Doctor Strange.
Yes.
So there is more to come for this Doctor.
Is the only one that is kind of an outlier right now is episode 3, because it's just kind of it wasn't weird.
Well, unless that's the universe that they have to go to save, because there are no more heroes.
But who creates Ultron? That's the kicker. Like, does Hank Pym just straight up go in there and create Ultron?
I mean, it's possible.
To stop.
I mean,
oh.
Yeah, because that's
okay.
the bad Hank Pym.
But he didn't create it for that reason. Ultron does that thing where Ultron does and is like, hey, I'm Ultron and I'm your friend. And like, oh, hello there. There are no more strings on me. And then starts going around killing things, because Hank Pym, like, Fury goes to Hank Pym, is like, the Avengers are gone. I need something else. He has Cap, and he has Cap, and like they work together, but it's not. But it's just them still. So he goes to Hank. Hank's like, I have an idea, a dream, a vision, if you will, to create this fighting force made of automatronic beings controlled by a single AI. I've codenamed Ultron. Mm-hmm. And then from there, Ultron.
Oh, I was just about to say something else. If it is that universe, something else that could be truly dark is the death of Captain America, because he found Captain America at the end of that episode.
Yes.
If he has Captain America and a couple others, if Black Widow survived that episode, some people think she did. If he does, and Captain Marvel, if he does have a handful of heroes, and then tries to add Ultron to that mix, and then Ultron goes bad, gets the Vision body, and kills those heroes, and then that's why they have to pull in the heroes from the other universes to save that one that has possibly bigger implications, that it would not just destroy that universe but others.
Because Ultron would figure out this isn't the only universe. There are others that need to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
That could also play into the zombies, because in the comics, we know we're getting a zombie episode. In the comics, I think, was it the Watchers that deemed the zombies? They deemed the zombies the greatest threat to the multiverse, because once the zombies had taken over their universe, they discovered how to cross universes and started taking over other ones. And then they Puppy says hi.
Sammy man.
So then they basically bring the Ultron bots, the Ultrabots, to fight the zombies, but then they join forces and start to take over together, and it gets really bad.
It's real bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, in Fury's attempts to kind of... I could see Fury doing that, and then it not working out, and so they have to bring all the other people in, especially if they have already learned how to cross universes.
I think... Yeah. That's about all I got. That's what I got for that. Yeah. That makes sense. I would be on board.
So by the end of this, we could have a huge multiversal epic happening that bleeds over into the MCU.
Into the madness of the multiverse.
Yeah.
AKA Avengers. That's what that is.
Yeah.
So, right, back to the episode, because we haven't got through that yet.
Yeah.
We'll blow through this very quickly. Doctor Strange, now with his newfound dark powers, learns that there is another him out there, because what the Ancient One did was split him in two, so that there was a possibility that the one who made the right decision, which is go have some tea with my friend, and one that made the wrong decision, which said, okay, peace, bye, could meet, fight, and good prevail.
Yeah. And so he learned this from O-Bengh on his deathbed. And if O-Bengh is, well, I mean, I think this kind of confirms that O-Bengh is Cagliostro, because he said that that he had been watching Strange do this for centuries.
Yeah, he suspended himself in time.
Yeah, he said Strange had suspended himself in time for centuries. Cagliostro decided to live. Strange decided to play with dark magic. So that, like, how powerful is this Doctor Strange if he has been absorbing dark magic for centuries? Like, that's insane.
We get a glimpse of it. He's very powerful. He ends up
so much so that the sorcerer known for living unnatural literally wrote the book on living an unnaturally long life, has reached the end of his unnatural long life, and Doctor Strange is just like, oh hey, where you been?
Yeah, I can reverse that. It's like, no, thank you, stop, don't leave me alone, let me die. And
he's finally learned that death is part of the equation.
Yes. Doctor Strange, the one that made the right decision, walks outside of his house. He sees this weird black ooze and everything kind of dissolving away with it. And he's like, what's going on? And the Ancient One comes in. She explains everything that she did, which is everything that we've just talked about. Doctor Strange split into two in hopes that you can stop the other one. So he goes and
I know I keep interjecting here. There could potentially be huge implications for the ooze. So the on the surface, it's just like, okay, that's a cool effect. It's animation, it's ink, ties back to comics. Cool how they're coming apart. They just become ink. That's kind of cool. However, another implication that I have not heard anybody say, that my first thought was, this looks very, very similar to the symbiotes and the ooze, venom, and all that kind of stuff. And so, of course, the history of that is the demigod Null, who is from the primordial void, who kind of created these symbiotes. And I keep wanting to say symbiote, depending on what Spider-Man you watched growing up. So Null was kind of there at the dawn of time, was he not?
yes.
So if these things are devolving and look very, very similar to the symbiotes, that could be just a nod to how that will eventually tie into the Venom verse, and how Sony and Marvel are basically kind of blurring the lines there.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. And they've given nods to things like that before.
All right. Clapping sound. Yes, that would be a very interesting implication if it was. That would open some doors. I don't know if anyone wants opened. Oh yeah, Sorcerer Supreme. We haven't got that yet either.
Oh yeah.
So.
See, we could. Well, that doesn't necessarily. Spider-Man doesn't necessarily equal. Obviously, we can have Venom without Spider-Man, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because we have
Venom without Spider-Man. Currently.
Please rewrite the origin story for Venom. That is the only thing I don't like about Venom right now.
Yes. But what else? Well, all right. Yes. So Ancient One explains. Then he goes back inside. Wong's disappearing. He puts I forgot the name. I know what it is, but I can now I'm trying to think about it. It escaped my brain. But basically it was a guardian seal that he puts all over his face.
Oh, Vishanti.
There we go. Oh, the Vishanti which could mean that maybe in live action later we might get some Vishanti things in Madness of the Multiverse, since they do appear, and they're all animal looking, and they do appear to talk to Doctor Strange, even recruiting him to help fight a secret multiversal war.
Yeah, and so obviously in the MCU, magic is color coded, and the Vishanti magic is typically the good magic, and there's the Book of Vishanti, and it's kind of like the opposite of the Book of Cagliostro, where all this dark dimension magic and all that kind of stuff. Dark dimension magic and evil magic is kind of purple in the MCU. Vishanti magic is golden, and it's kind of tied to cosmic magic, or it's orange, and that is what basically everything that Doctor Strange uses is that color so far.
Yeah. Wonder if they're gonna have a interesting thinking about some things. Okay, but yeah, so he puts that on, but the second that the Guardian seal is on there, he looks down. There is a red circle around him. He gets sucked in right to literally the right into the
He falls for like 30 minutes,
and he ends up in front of himself at the site of where Christine died. he tries to convince them to let they like this. Let's go ahead and do the fusion dance so that we can become whole because our magic is diluted without us being whole, and I can't bring her back if we're not together. And he's like, you need to stop. Don't live in the past. He's like, it's okay. I cared about her, but move on. And he's like, no, I don't want to move on. And he was like, yeah, you probably should though. Look at yourself. And he's like, middle finger. And then they fought.
Yeah. And then there was the battle of the cloaks of levitation, or the cloaks rather.
Cloaks got yeah. One cloak got destroyed.
A little scream
The
sound
animation
effect
for the fight was really cool. Like it was like I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
This is so bright
cool.
and colorful and ridiculous. And yeah. But it ended up with us Doctor Strange showcasing why he is the Sorcerer Supreme. And also, dang, bad guys got cool magic.
Yeah.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dark Doctor ended up winning, absorbing himself so they could become
which
whole.
Was a turn that I was not expecting.
I wasn't expecting that either, and I was like, oh, he won. Oh no, he won. Oh crap. Oh crap. Kids, look away. And
what is this, a DC universe?
so
it's so dark.
He's treated that for a DC guy. Oh, hilarious. Deadpool just needs to show up. It would be hilarious if it turns out there was a secret Deadpool in every episode.
Oh man, I would love that. Instead of a secret Mickey like how Disney does.
Yeah. Just be a secret Deadpool.
He's the only one that could defeat the entire evil multiverse. That's what's going to happen. I've decided. That's what's going to happen. Everything's going to die. Everything's going to crap. And Deadpool walks through and goes, let's get busy. Maximum effort.
Maximum effort.
Because Deadpool's the only person that can destroy the entire MCU.
Yes.
I mean, Doctor Strange just destroyed his entire universe, but
he tried his. Yes, he did. He absorbed himself. Then he morphed into a amalgamation of everything he absorbed over these centuries, and their
Christian.
Christian, how are you?
Whispers. Whispers are creepy.
She was like, She was like, where's my purse and gun? And Christian, it's me. And she's like, what have you done? She comes back to life not knowing what just happened. Last thing she remembers was probably rolling down the hill and having the shock of this beast in her face while the universe around them is being disintegrated. And then Doctor Strange realizes she's disappearing. He tries to save her. The universe closing in on them. He reaches out to the Watcher. Save the universe. Punish me. Just save her and everything else.
And the Watcher actually responds.
He shrinks down. He's like, if I could save the universe, I would. But I can't.
And I would punish your ass because you deserve it.
He just keeps throwing up them peace signs and just disappearing. And so then he's able to stop the universe shrinking down on just this tiny mote of land. Christine in his arms, disappearing, dying before his eyes for the 101st time.
Mm-hmm.
This time for good. And
101 damnations.
One damnation. And this time he finally realizes the error of his ways a little too late and realizes he should have left well enough alone and moved on. There were plenty fish in the sea, but but he said, "No, I like that fish." And when
My fish, my fish.
precious fish, little fish us alone.
Give it to me wet and wiggling.
So are we cooking the fish or not, Frodo?
Filthy hobbitses.
Yes, Sam. Just give me a minute. He'll give me the fish. Hold on.
Oh man.
Oh. So, but yeah, and then he's just left there, and we're as the camera pans out, he's in this tiny, purple crystal on this mote of land, crying alone with the rest of the universe is nothing.
Yeah. And he finally broke. Finally broke that man's pride.
Yep. A prideful strange is a dangerous thing. Mm-hmm. Sorcerer Armani.
That was a nice little callback to Mr. Doctor. You know, it's strange. Who am I to say?
Your name's so stranger than others. Yes. So, and that is where that was it. No end credit scene, but that was it. Credits roll.
Yeah.
No music. Just end.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Soft, solemn music. It was just dark, and it was just like, whew, man, I am questioning everything about my life right now. Where's my depression medication?
Note to self: don't with time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's episode 4 out of 9, so we are right at about the midpoint where things start to make the hard turn as far as the season and beats go. So it's about to get pretty interesting, and I think there are going to be some huge implications for the next episode going forward.
Yes. Very, very excited to see what happens next, who shows up next, what story is that they're going to do. The next one is Party Thor. I don't know. I saw a trailer for it. I couldn't tell if it was like an actual trailer because it wasn't dropped from like where I always see the trailers, and it was dropped way earlier than I thought. Way earlier.
You got to be careful of the sources because sometimes they just put stuff together and they pretend that it's an actual trailer. But we also know that there's gonna be a team because with these freaking Hyundai commercials.
It involved that. But it was some Thor footage I've never seen before either.
Oh, really?
Some Party Thors I've never seen before.
Interesting.
So we shall see.
Yes.
But it'll be interesting either way. But yeah. I think that's all I have. Did you have anything else?
Just as far as it going forward, I mean, that's really all I've got. And I think we kind of covered Doctor Strange and the Spider-Man trailer. Unless you had something else that you wanted to say about that. I stepped on my soapbox in the middle there.
Oh, no. Besides...
I'm convinced that something is up. That is not exactly...
I don't trust nothing in that trailer.
How many times has Marvel put forth a trailer and even created scenes specifically for the trailer just to throw us off?
Yeah.
They held on to this trailer for so long. Don't tell me they didn't put any thought into it and they're just showing us, there is something is not right. I am onto you.
Yeah, I don't trust nothing. Only thing I trust is Tom Holland as Spider-Man. That is it.
So far, this is like the only movie he hasn't leaked yet.
Yeah. They sat him down in a room. I need you to listen to me. What I'm about to say is very, very important. Do not say anything about this movie. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine, but when do I get a script? You get a script when we're done filming. But that makes no
Day
sense.
by
Yes, it
day.
does.
Yeah, because I mean, there are like he swears up and down that Tom Holland, or not Tom Holland, but Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are not in this movie. However, that scene at the very, very end where we see Doc Ock go, "Hello, Peter."
Yeah.
Who is he looking at?
Who's he looking at? Nobody.
He's looking
We
at
don't
Tom
know.
Holland. He doesn't know
And then
Tom Holland is Peter Parker.
And he
And
cuts to a
he is
whole weird
that outfit
scene.
that outfit that he's wearing is almost point for point the same outfit that Tobey Maguire wore in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, and they just CGI'd a the Iron Spider suit on him.
And I thought it was pretty awesome that it was the Iron Spider outfit where he's about to fight Doc Ock with the arms. Because I remember when Civil War dropped and Tony got him that armor and it had arms on it, the fans were like, what? He's got Doc Ock arms on his Spider-Man armor? Only freaking Tony Stark would do that. And that was kind of like the seed that began the whole him turning away from Tony and joining Captain America, and his side of the thing was like, man, this kid. After Tony convinced him to take his mask off and all that kind of stuff.
I'm Peter Parker. Yep, I remember that.
Yep.
Man. All right. Well, yeah. Okay. That's all I got.
Yeah. I'm super excited for Shang-Chi and to see where it's about to take the MCU, because I think shit is about to hit the fan and things about.
Yeah.
Speaking of, one of the monsters looked very, very similar to the dragon in Shang-Chi. Ooh, that's creepy as hell.
Showing everyone the Snapchat filter my wife did of my dog. Of
Like
our dog.
Five nights at Quinny's.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
Have you started punching random things yet?
Not yet.
I will not go see a scary movie with Quinn because he likes to punch things when he gets scared. There will at least be 2 seats between us if I do. Doctor Strange is supposed to be an outright horror movie. There will be seats between us, not just for social distancing's sake.
Oh man, I keep forgetting that. I guess I can't go see Doctor Strange. Never mind.
It is directed by Sam Raimi, who is, one of the horror kings, who is also really, really good with tentacle monsters. Shiva Gorath is rumored to be in that movie. Lots of rumors.
Lots of rumors. All right. Let's wrap her up.
Yep. That's all I've got. Quinn, you have anything
Nothing
else?
else for me. Nope.
All right. So, thanks for joining us, whether you're watching on, speaking of multi-streams, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Hope you enjoyed it and hope that you join us again next week. Or if you're into zombies, The Walking Dead, that type of thing, you can join us on Sunday nights at 10 and or next Thursday for this continued FOMO show MCU edition where we do 9:30 every Thursday night. So if you like the show, go ahead and hit the like button, and if you'd like to help out, also hit the like button and share and tell your friends. And if you are interested in helping us out even further, or I can't even talk right now. Maybe I just need to see a speech therapist. But Patreon, there's that thing, and if you would like to get notified when we do more, you can subscribe and hit the little bell icon so that you know when we when we drop new videos and when we go live. So once again, don't forget to check out the website at 3 W's, sorry, .broken.pictures.no.com. And I am Quinn. I'm not Quinn. I was looking at your face. That's the first time that's happened. We've been doing this for years. I am Dylan.
I'm Quinn.
We should just like dress like each other one day and show it. Just
See what
that's what we should do for like Halloween or something. Just like impersonate each other on the entire show.
happens.
I'll do the spoiler alert and I'll turn the bass up real low or down real low and so I can get that register. Oh wow. So anyways, thank you for joining us and we hope to see you next time. Peace.
Bye.